right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily and Oh So Curious. It's gonna be a packed show. We've got a lot of news to get into. We're gonna be doing a little bit of speculation based on the news, of course. We have to talk about Taylor Sheridan ditching Paramount for NBC Universal. What does that mean for the larger world of movies and television? Of course, they've already got Christopher Nolan over there doing things in the movies world. What will Taylor Sheridan bring to the world of Comcast, NBC, and of course Universal Pictures? So we'll talk about that. We have a bunch of news from the world of DC. Clayface, it looks like it's going to be wrapping up production soon. We've got a bunch of course, we've got a bunch of updates for the upcoming Man of Tomorrow movie. James Gunn also talked a little bit about what are we going to be doing with all the other upcoming projects under potentially a newly merged Paramount-Warner Brothers Discovery. Will James Gunn even be around? We'll get into that. And of course, we have a bunch of Marvel news. Who was it that really triggered their Daredevil rehash, like the total reboot, repackaging, going back and doing the creative overhaul for Born Again, making it more in line with the original Daredevil show? Who really should get the credit? We'll talk about that. Of course, we might have a new Black Panther as well. Is there a new T'Challa in town? There was a Vogue show that might have been hinting at something like to that effect. So a lot more of that, and we are so glad you're here today. So with that, let's hit that news intro and get the show started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right, welcome on in. Of course, it's time for the news. If you're watching us live or if you're watching us after we are live, we appreciate you nonetheless because, hey, we're all a community here. I won't use the F word just yet, but we'll get to it, I'm sure. Thank you for staying patient with us. I know that there's been fewer live shows on the channel of late, and I will provide an update on what's going on with Zelda later on in the show. But hey, it's time for the news. I didn't even mention the fact that we got some Predator Badlands reactions as well as Wicked for Good reactions we got to talk about. So we will have some movie talk madness on today's show. Of course, a ton of DC and Marvel news. And we've got some quick hits. There's some really, really fun quick hits. But to do that and so much more with me today, as always, I've got John. How are you doing today?
Also, since you won't do it, I will.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Here we are. Don't stray away from it. You got to embrace it. I've learned to embrace it. You got to embrace it again. It's all good, but I'm here. I have some Halloween candy. Let's go. I don't know, Milky Way. But fucking StreamYard is still changing stuff. I hate it.
What is going on here? What? Everything looks different. Oh, no, we're not doing that. Something has happened to everything looks a little off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can figure this out or not, but oh, there we go. And then now the color has switched back. This is odd. We're troubleshooting this, but Tony's in the live chat. Emo Nordgoal is here as well. I see you guys in the chat. D Cole joining in. Of course, everybody in the chat, welcome on in, watching live. We got who else do we have? Do we have Caleb watching? I saw a Khan in there somewhere. No, that was Tony. Okay, Enterprising is here. So we've got folks in the chat, and it is a pleasure to have you here as well, enterprising. And Emo Nerd Girl, did I already shout you out? I think I did. Of course, D. Cole I mentioned. And anybody else who's coming in as we are live, of course, hit the like button. We appreciate it. It's time to hang out. Yeah, we've got a packed show ahead, and yes, indeed, we are Groot. So John, it's been a while. Well, by a while, I mean we were last live on Friday, so it's been a few days. Now, a lot has happened in that time, and where I'd like to start right now, let me kind of quickly set the table, right? So, basically, yesterday the news broke that Taylor Sheridan, the man who I like to, to say is basically Paramount Plus all by himself. He's, essentially, Paramount Plus is the house that Taylor Sheridan built. Well, the real life cowboy himself is leaving Paramount to join, NBC Universal. He's taking his talents over to the same studio as Christopher Nolan did a few years ago with leaving Warner Brothers. John, this was big news, and I know that usually we don't talk about a lot of the shows and movies that Taylor Sheridan it works on, although I'm sure you and I both have seen some of his work. I personally love Special Ops Lioness, that's on Paramount Plus. I've seen some of his Yellowstone franchise, the
I really like
universe
Hell or High
shows.
Water. I think he did that, right? Yeah.
He did. I mean, there was that. Of course, you've got Mayor of Kingstown right now. Jeremy Renner, we'll be talking about him later in the show as well. And of course, beyond that, even like he's got new hits every year. Landman just came out with Billy Bob Thornton and then got renewed for another season. So he's just a hit maker. Like he's one of the surest things in Hollywood today at a time when there's not a lot of sure things in entertainment in general, John. But let's dive into it, shall we? Because The Wrap was reporting that this deal that Taylor Sheridan got from NBC Universal, it's $1 billion when you put all the TV and movie elements together, because essentially, and I'm going to TLDR it for you guys if you haven't read into this, Donna Langley, so here's what's happened, right? A little bit of context. On NBC Universal side, they're sort of reorganized on the back end because they're spinning off Versant, so all the cable channels are going their own way. And so what's left over is basically Donna Langley now oversees Peacock, Bravo, and NBC. So that pretty much includes, all of the television stuff and movies as well, because it connects to the Universal Pictures, the studio. Now, with that in mind, Donna Langley really, did the work, the legwork. She flew down to the Texas ranch where Taylor Sheridan works out of. She met him a few times. She pitched him initially to bring him on for the TV side of things, for the movie side of things, because his movie deal with Paramount ends next year. I think it's like March of 2026. But then she was like, why don't you also bring over, your TV business? Like, we'll love to have you, under our umbrella for movies, but, you make some of the best TV shows, going around right now. And so then they decided that, then she was like, why don't you just in 2028, when that deal ends, come on over and bring over your, TV might as well. So ultimately, $1 billion, John. Remember a long time ago, J.J. Abrams signed that $500 million deal, the overall deal with Warner Brothers, that of course ended up, mostly being trash once David Zaslav and company came in, and probably rightfully so. But
except for that one show that got canceled after one season.
Yeah, Duster, was it? Or whatever. Yeah. With Josh Holloway. But basically, Taylor Sheridan currently has a deal that's worth about the same amount of money with Paramount. But Paramount has really gotten their bang for their buck, because, quite frankly, I just mentioned it. Almost everything we just talked about, all the Yellowstone spinoffs, because the original Yellowstone show actually got licensed to be on Peacock. So if you want to watch the original show, it's on Peacock, which is where I guess Taylor Sheridan, his stuff is now going to be in a few years' time. But everything else from the Yellowstone franchise, everything else that he's produced for television, all of his other stuff is on Paramount Plus. Now, David Zaslav apparently also made a visit down to Texas, but the whole idea that Paramount might be buying Warner Brothers, the irony of that was not lost on Taylor Sheridan. He wasn't like Tom Cruise, who's like, I might run away from Paramount to Warner Brothers only to be back at Paramount in a few years. All that said, we have, like I said, one of the biggest hit makers in Hollywood today leaving, of course, Paramount now to join NBC Universal at a time when Paramount's been splashing the cash, John. How do you react to this? They've brought in the Duffer Brothers. They've signed so many new deals. They just re-upped the South Park creators. So many other things. Like they bought that huge spec script. They just inked the UFC deal. They'll have UFC on Paramount Plus. So other than the fact that, yeah, this is obviously a money talk situation, and hello, Angelica in the live chat, and we got Kevin Davis in the live chat. And you know what? I'll get into the whole conservative thing. There was a bit of a political tinge to this, but we'll talk about it. There's a nuanced element. But John, overall, how do you read this? What do you make of it? How much is this going to impact Paramount? Did David Ellison really just take his eye off the ball and kind of like, fumble the ball, if you will, in this whole situation?
Yeah, it just it seems like that's the case because I feel like Taylor Sheridan has been kind of unhappy the past few years. And that might be the case in regards to all of this. I know Kevin Costner and him butted heads on Yellowstone. That's partially why they left. So that could definitely have added to it. And it's yeah, I mean, where, money, happiness, freedom, whatever it is, I think wherever it follows, he'll go, I guess. So, it's I'm not like it just seems like another case of like the rich get richer kind of thing. I can't like be like that's the only thing that I can see out of this. It's like, okay, Taylor Sheridan, it's just like the Yellowstone franchise, which I don't care about, might not have him in the next couple of months, which is like, okay, cool. Like people who like neo-westerns that are like
so here's the thing though,
like, okay, cool, but I don't really care.
But here's a nuance to, right? Remember, this is Taylor Sheridan has two separate deals with Paramount, one for the movies, one for TV shows. His deal for making movies for Paramount ends, I think, in March of 2026. So that will then, move over to NBC Universal. So basically, starting next spring, he'll be working on movies for Universal rather than for anything for Paramount. Now his TV deal runs till, I believe, toward the end of 2028. So Taylor Sheridan's not doing any television work for NBC Universal until 2029. That being said, everything that he creates between now and then, which chances are is probably not going to be as much as he was creating before, that will still be something that Paramount would have access to. Like basically, if he makes a new TV show between now and then, it would be for Paramount until 2028, and at the end of 2028. And then, he would go on to NBC Universal. The other thing is also, if he is anything that he has created that gets multiple seasons moving forward, all the spin-offs, the prequels, to the Yellowstone franchise, all of those, I imagine he will still be in charge of, because those are like connected. Like it's like almost like, when you get grandfathered into an old phone plan, it's a similar situation to that. But this article here in Reuters, it was a really detailed report about the reasons for why Taylor Sheridan decided to ditch Paramount, John. So this is really interesting. And again, I'll TLDR a little bit of it because this was, in the Wall Street Journal, Reuters. It's very interesting, the reasons they point out for why it seems like, this relationship broke down. There was a show that he pitched. I'm forgetting the name of it in the moment right now. The new leadership at Paramount basically told him, like, no. I think it was something was and it started with a C. The Correspondent, I think it was the name of the show. The Correspondent was going to be a new show that Taylor Sheridan was developing. It was an idea that he pitched, and he basically was told, no, we're not doing it. Also, the new leadership at Paramount has been questioning like the rising budget of the Lioness show, which Lioness is a show that, with Zoe Saldana, Nicole Kidman, Morgan Freeman. Like, you got some top tier talent in there, some A-listers, they're movie stars. Not to mention, like, it's not a show that, where people are just navel gazing all the time. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of, like, military, like, related action set pieces. So, and, Taylor Sheridan himself he was on a lot in the last season of the show. But in addition to that, Nicole Kidman just got a new show with Paramount, And Taylor Sheridan was not given a heads up about it, and it was announced, and then he was miffed about that too, because he was like, I have to plan around this because Nicole Kidman is in one of my shows. And then it all started, of course, when the new ownership of Paramount came in, David Ellison and company. Basically, the folks that brought Taylor Sheridan in and empowered him and gave him basically, a blank check every time with every single one of his ideas, whether it's Tulsa King or Landman or Mayor of Kingstown, any of the Yellowstone stuff, everything that for the most part has been a huge hit for the platform. Those folks, those people in charge, by the way, hello Monique, we got Wayne in the chat as well. Those leaders are gone. Like, those people left Paramount when Ellison came in and brought in new leadership. So the new folks clearly, questioning his ideas despite his track record. It's like asking Christopher Nolan, do you really need that kind of money for the Odyssey, or do we really need to make the Odyssey? Why can't you work on another movie? It's one of those things, because Taylor Sheridan is that in the world of television. So those seem to be a lot of the reasons why. Not to mention, apparently Paramount, John, get this, wanted Taylor Sheridan to make a show that celebrated America for its upcoming 250th anniversary as a country. So while Taylor Sheridan is has been making shows that seem to promote conservative values, because it's he's got that old school mindset to a lot of it. Like westerns are really, if you want to define one genre that has overlap across all of his stuff, but he's not like somebody who's cozied up or necessarily agrees with the politics of the current administration at the White House. So that has also, of course, caused friction. So all of those things together, it seems like Taylor Sheridan decided, while his deal was up for renewal with Paramount, he was going to negotiate with all of these other rivals. Warner Brothers wanted to get in. David Zaslav flew down to Texas. That didn't work out. Of course, then Donna Langley did the same, multiple trips, and she managed to get the deal done. And she gave him basically a blank check. I mean, it's $1 billion. That's about as close to a blank check as you can give somebody, John. Now, as far as how this, kind of played out, because when you look at the relationship Paramount has with Taylor Sheridan, it wasn't that long ago, John, that they partnered up with Taylor Sheridan to basically set up a whole new studio space, like a whole new studio backlot almost in Texas, that Paramount is a part of, that is being supported by a lot of the new film and TV tax incentives that Texas passed. And this is meant to be, where all of these shows that Taylor Sheridan works on are housed in Texas, a new studio. So it's not like Paramount was just working with him, on a few TV shows or like a couple of movies. No, they were in the Taylor Sheridan business. Like the previous leadership at Paramount were like, we're in the Taylor Sheridan business. Well, now they're not going to be. Not that long from now, a few months from now, he's going to be doing movies for the Universal, and a couple of years from now, he's going to be doing TV for Universal. This to me feels like when Shonda Rhimes' deal came up, and Netflix snapped her up from ABC, and then she went on to make like Bridgerton and a bunch of other stuff for Netflix. Hi, MTG. But John, do you think this is the first big misstep for the new Paramount ownership? Like, do you think this is gonna be something they will miss? Because you look at the Paramount catalog again, like every other big hit on their catalog is from Taylor Sheridan, and now he's walking out the door going to your rivals.
Yeah, it's whatever he thinks is best, apparently. I'm just I'm curious with how this will fare up and how this will go into the future, and hopefully only good things will come from it. Yeah, I don't really know, but
I mean, good things for Taylor Sheridan, because I mean, even when he's over at NBC Universal, if you go to the next article, he's got like what, 4, 5, maybe 6 different spin-offs and prequels to all the Yellowstone shows. that are in the works right now. Like this article in the Hollywood Reporter goes through where all of these are. There's a new Y. Marshall show. Yellowstone, of course, just wrapped up the original show. 1883, that was a good one. 1923, I think there's a sequel to that happening. The Madison, which formerly was known as 2024, is another spinoff. So you've got all these shows, some of them on CBS, some of them are going to be on Paramount Plus. The Dutton Ranch is the working title of the Beth and Rip show, as they were calling it before. That's another one. So, there's so many things. 1944, which is that sequel series to 1923, the 6666. That's another one that's potential. I don't know if that's gonna get made eventually, or if that's gonna be on hold permanently. But
it would have been interesting, since there's so many year shows that it's just like it takes place in the year 6,606,
and they're cowboys in space.
It's not that, but honestly, that would be really funny. But yeah, these are all the damn shows. Like, God.
I'm guessing that he's going to have some level of influence.
This is a MAGA guy's Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I think it's a misconception that these shows promote like that stuff, because they don't really. Like they're on the surface, they may seem like it, but that's not what these shows are about usually. But John, just kind of like going off of what MTG is saying, Universal, went in and gave Christopher Nolan everything he needed and wanted when Warner Brothers wouldn't. And that's resulted in Christopher Nolan winning his first Best Director Oscar. He had a near $1 billion film, basically the highest grossing film that he had made since the Dark Knight trilogy days. And now he's working on Odyssey, the very first movie that was entirely shot in IMAX film. Basically, Christopher Nolan is as happy as he's ever been over at Universal. So I just wanted to ask you, what is the potential in your mind for, Taylor Sheridan doing movies and TV shows at Universal? Could he take on pre-existing franchises? Could he do a collaboration with Christopher Nolan? Could he write a script that Nolan directs? I'm just trying to think, like, what are the possibilities? Are there any ideas in your mind?
I don't think so. He seems kind of more like a lone wolf kind of guy, where he's just like, all right, I'm gonna do things my way or the highway, kind of just stick with that, which isn't bad, not a bad thing at all. Unlikely. I don't think he's like, what's this fangled Japanese stuff? I don't know what this is. Tarnation, and then just go produce 17 more Yellowstone spinoffs. So, it's whatever it is, it's just, I don't see him collaborating with people. I think he's just gonna stick with his own stuff, whatever that may be. Yeah. So,
I mean, hey, this is a good time to be a fan of Peacock, I guess, or if you have affinity for Universal movies, because they've got James Wan over with Blumhouse doing just a good work so far, at least with the horror side of the genre. They just re-upped, I think, Walter Hamada, or was that? I think that was Paramount, actually. That's separate. But yeah, Taylor Sheridan, now Christopher Nolan, Taylor Sheridan. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings over, because Peacock could certainly use some of those kind of hits that they've got over at Paramount. So hopefully this is what I'm sure that's what Donna Langley, has in mind for what Taylor Sheridan could provide them. I did want to mention quickly, we've got, of course, Steven in the chat, and yes, Lioness is an amazing show, MTG, and I would love to see what he does next, because Universal has some IP that Paramount doesn't have. So maybe Taylor Sheridan can go in and be like, you know what, I will write the next Transformers movie for you, Michael Bay, or I will actually go in and revive the Fast and Furious movies series as a Western, and it's horse racing instead. I don't know, or he might make a Jurassic Park movie that's actually good. So yeah, Peacock needs a lot more than just the Real Housewives. Maybe Taylor Sheridan can provide that. But hey, guys, let us know in the comments down below, what do you think about Taylor Sheridan ditching Paramount for NBC Universal in a $1 billion deal that covers movies and TV shows? He's going to start making movies for Universal as soon as spring of 2026, and then in 2029, at the beginning of 2029, he will be making TV shows for Universal. So what happens with everything that he has been doing, all the Yellowstone shows over at Paramount? What about Landman? What about Mayor of Kingstown? What about the future of the Taylor Sheridan universe at Paramount, and what he's leaving behind? You let us know in the chat down below what you would like to see from Taylor Sheridan over at Universal. Now, with that, let's move on to the next thing, John. I believe we have got a bit of movie talk madness to get into, shall we? So with that in mind, we've got some early reactions, some social media reactions to two movies that I know you're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing what Predator Badlands does, so that's where we will start. The reactions are out, and they're praising the family-friendly sci-fi spectacle.
That is a misnomer. If you read on, and we're going to talk about the
I know.
it's family-friendly. It's not really family-friendly. It is talking about one of the tropes in the movie, James Gunn's favorite trope that he loves to use. That is, of course, the found family trope, which seems to be going on here. So I know people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, no!" And it's just like, no, that's not what it is. That's not.
Let's John, why don't you calm Enterprising's nerves a little bit here and tell us what the people are saying who have seen Predator Badlands already.
So Christopher rates it, saying Jan Trachtenberg should be crowned the pioneer of the Predator franchise. He continues to break boundaries of what this franchise is capable of. Badlands is an action-packed ride that keeps you on your toes. It's a found family. That's the trope that we're talking about here. Action adventure wrapped in the classic franchise brutality. Trachtenberg confidently continues to make the Predator world captivating as fanning, charms, and scares.
What's real is family.
It's great to see some of my pals in the AVP fandom and beyond finally getting to see Predator Badlands. I think this film is great, and it's different in a brilliant way. So, all killer, no filler, epic spectacle that dives deep into Yautja mythology. It takes some big swings that don't always land, despite its bold approach. Legacy fans may be left disappointed. I mean, the thing is, all the fucking like of the franchise, they jump ship after Predator 2, so it's like they can fucking suck rocks. It's fine. It feels like a Dark Horse adaptation, one hell of an action ride, a brutal emotional journey of a Predator finding acceptance, pretty badass expansion of the Predator franchise, and it kind of goes on and on. Friggin' awesome inventive action, organic comedy, all that fun stuff. So, hell yeah, makes me more excited for this. Super. I can't wait to see this next week. Gonna be awesome.
Yeah, every time you guys do that family thing, I feel like my YouTube is on the fritz and change the channel, says M2G. It does feel like that a little bit. I must agree. But yeah, John, it sounds like this movie has a little bit of everything, and especially a lot of the DNA of, if you even go back to like the very original Predator movie, it wasn't like that movie took itself way too seriously. There were some corny lines in there that you could easily laugh at or laugh with the characters in the movie. So you could tell like people are talking about like the humor fits in naturally with the events of the film. And it's one of those movies where you're gonna have the action, the violence. And look, we talked about it before, the PG-13 rating and this being not rated R is primarily because, a lot of the violence involves an alien. It's not a human. So they can get away with that stuff and not give it a rated R. If it was like a human getting chopped up, then things would be different. So I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue for people looking for like, oh yeah, we want a violent, gory horror film that the Predator franchise is known for. John, does this make you more or less excited for the movie seeing these reactions?
Yeah, I mean, Universal sponsor. It's, I don't know. It's just like I'm curious with how they're gonna go with this. I know. I feel like legacy fans may be disappointed. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of reaching. I don't know. I'm excited for the damn movie. Like, just give it to me now. Inject it into my veins. All that fun stuff. But yeah, I think people need to maybe calm down a little bit in regards to all this. So yeah, I think in terms of like the people like I don't know, I feel like legacy fans, they'll eat anything up. Like people fucking ate up Alien Romulus and like shit like that. So like I think they're
I mean, of
more
course,
aware of what they
yeah.
want.
Like they're talking about legacy fans being the ones who are the hardcore fans of the franchise. So far, since they've revived the Predator franchise, they haven't really taken a foot wrong, in my opinion. So
It's nice
I'm
to see Predator in a theater again. Because the last
yeah.
time it was in a theater was either Predators. It was Predators, right? With
It
Adrian
was
Brody. I think that was it.
no. It was Predator, the one with Keegan Michael Key and a bunch of other guys. It was that was the one.
Oh yeah,
It was just
the
called. It was just Predator.
oh,
I saw that on
Predator.
like cable. It was a bad and yet enjoy. Like I got through it one time. I didn't have any inkling to go see it a second time. It was one of those like, oh, he's here, modern day Earth. There's a predator, and like there's a bunch of guys who try to take it out, and you know how that goes. But yeah, the Shane Black offense. There you go.
Hey, I
There
heard
you go.
Play
The
Dirty was
Predator.
good, so maybe he's on the up and up now. So we'll see.
But I mean, look, all those Fox IP, all the Fox IP that Disney got in that deal, they've been doing a good job in reviving like both the Alien and the Predator franchises, and with Prey laying the groundwork, now we finally get a Predator movie back in theater. So I'm excited about it. These reactions are pretty good. They didn't quite say this is the best thing ever, but they don't have to. This just needs to be a good movie, and so far it seems like that's the case. Now, speaking of good movies, John, speaking of the word "good" in the title of a movie, we have Wicked for
Well, you have
Good coming out.
Badlands. Now you have For Good.
For good.
Boom.
So I know that you watched the first movie, you actually enjoyed it. Now the second movie, so far the reactions are calling it even better than the original, saying it's got a heartbreakingly tender conclusion with jaw-dropping performances, and hey, it might get another run at like a dozen Oscar nominations, even if it doesn't win most of them. What do you think about this, and do you want to walk us through these reactions and what the folks are saying about Wicked for Good?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm excited for it. I thought the first one was fine, but kind of overrated. It was enjoyable. I don't think it was the second coming of Christ. I don't think it was even Oscar worthy, like a lot of thing people claimed and was. But I enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought it was fine. And in regards to all the people talking about it, you have Destiny Jackson praised the film, calling it an epic and heartbreakingly tender conclusion. All good deeds go rewarded in Wicked for Good. Varieties. Jazz Tonke, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, echoed the praise. She wrote on X, Wicked for Good goes above and beyond all expectations, and gave particular praise to Chu's directing. He's a genius in the way he brings this to a close. And then, of course, Chris Murphy said, saw Wicked for Good last month, and believe me when I say that it expands and deepens the original source material in generally exciting and innovative ways. David Gordon, not David Gordon Green, calm down. David Gordon wrote, it was everything you wanted to be, taking the original vision of the stage play in dazzling new heights. If Wicked Part 1 was faithful to the blueprint of the stage, Wicked for Good builds out the world to create a full and different but the same and extremely emotional version of Act 2. With that, it makes me believe that they tapped into the book a little bit more, because the way that from what my family who has seen Wicked, the actual play, the actual musical on stage, they said that the transition from Act 1 to Act 2 is very awkward. How it's like it takes place only like a couple weeks after Defying Gravity, and then almost immediately after that, like Dorothy comes in, so it's just like there's no room for like to build upon these characters. But it seems like the movie is going to be doing that, which is more like the book, because the book is pretty huge. I wouldn't say it's not like a phone book, but it's pretty sizable. So I think Yeah, but that's. I think this looks, relatively exciting and fun. I'm not again. It's exciting, but not. I'm not excited for it. It just looks like a. It looks like a lot of fun at the very least. It looks like a lot of fun again. I don't think it'll be greatest thing since sliced bread type stuff, but I think it'll be for good. Anyway,
I'm sure Liz is laughing at that somewhere watching
yeah,
the show.
I don't
But
know. We gotta check in with her. We gotta check in with Liz, make sure she's okay, because we haven't heard
yeah,
from her in a bit.
yeah, I'm sure she's busy. But yeah, she's got another. I think she's got another Comic-Con. She's going to the Rhode Island one. I don't know. You guys let us know. Is that happening anytime soon? Uh, but as far as Wicked for Good and Predator Badlands, these are the two movies that will be two of the bigger movies that are left on the calendar for the remainder of the year. Of course, we also have The Running Man coming out. I saw a new teaser for that the other day, which looked really good. And of course, Avatar: The Fire and Ash is coming out to end the year. And we got Zootopia too. So there's a bunch of good movies out there. You guys let us know in the comments down below, which of these movies are you more excited about? Are you going to go to see Predator Badlands? Or are you going to go see Wicked for Good? Are you going to go see both of them? Are these reactions what you were looking for, or are you less excited about the movies? Let us know in the comments down below. Right now, we're going to move on to talking about some Marvel, because it is time for MCU Weekly. And with MCU Weekly, we've got a bunch of news we've been sitting on, because, of course, like I mentioned, it's been a busy few days of news, and we got to catch up on a couple of things. John, there's a lot to talk about, but over the weekend, there was a Vogue fashion show, and it looks like Damson Idris, of course, fresh off the F1 movie that I think definitely was his breakout role. At Vogue World, he took part in the fashion show, and of course walked the runway with Angela Bassett, of course, who plays the mother of T'Challa in the MCU, and that has led to speculation. Especially considering how he was dressed. Of course, if you keep in mind, we had that concept art, which was somewhat debunked for Avengers Secret Wars, showcasing a potentially multiverse iteration, maybe a new T'Challa for the MCU, a new Black Panther. John, do you believe now more than ever, like right there, you look at that photo, that Damson Idris might be the perfect fit? I know that we had him as one of our options in Fancast Friday a few weeks ago. Do you think he would be the new T'Challa? Is this just more confirmation? Is this Marvel giving us a hint that they're going to be recasting T'Challa for the MCU and bringing us back to the Black Panther that, some people wanted to see in Wakanda Forever, but they went in a different direction, and that's totally okay. But what do you think, John? Is Damson Idris going to be our Black Panther?
I agree with Enterprising. I think it's just a whole nothing burger. I don't think it means anything. I think it's just, I think the guy was there, he wanted to be a part of it, and that's what they got. I don't think it means anything. Like, would it be awesome for him to play the role? Absolutely. Would he kill it? Fuck yeah, he would. Would I want for it to happen? Absolutely, absolutely, man. However, I don't think this means anything.
By the way, Angela Bassett just went to space in that 911 show she's a part of, which just blows my mind. I have no idea how that happens.
They're fast and furiousing this fucking franchise.
Totally. It's so ridiculous. It's like, how did they end up in space? Like, what the literal... Anyway, we're the Cape. Hello. Dollars to donuts. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see if this turns into anything.
I agree.
I will definitely want to see that in the new iteration of T'Challa, especially because like Nakia, because if they do the whole multiverse thing, the Nakia storyline and her being the love interest, that she was a love interest to the OG T'Challa. This could be a new T'Challa from a different universe that eventually gets merged into the mainline 616. We'll have to see. The Storm T'Challa romance from the comics. I believe that's something that Marvel would potentially want to do as they do the soft reboot of the MCU post Secret Wars. But John, that wasn't the only piece of news that we have for Marvel. We've got a bunch more to get into, so let's dive into the next one. Again, to kind of set the table here, for the 15th time, seemingly in the last few months, Jeremy Renner, who not too long ago said that he declined Disney's offer for Hawkeye season 2 because they were going to pay him less than what he was getting before. And he was like, just because, I got plowed over and I'm recovering doesn't mean that, I'm half the man that I should get half the pay for what I did before. And so he seemed publicly miffed at Disney's offer for doing a Hawkeye season 2, but in the time since, on multiple occasions, he said that, maybe it's more possible now, maybe it could happen. And it seems like he's been negotiating in the public eye more and more, and now he's suggesting that it's pretty much gonna happen. We'll work it out. He said it's gonna be great. So he's not suggesting that, they've crossed the T's and dotted their I's on contracts. But he certainly sounds like things are looking a lot more optimistic for Hawkeye season 2, John. Are you looking at this from Jeremy Renner and thinking, yeah, we're going to get a Hawkeye season 2? And then even as an extension of that, do you think if Jeremy Renner returns to the MCU, could we potentially see him actually show up in Doomsday and or Secret Wars, even though he wasn't part of those initial announcements?
I'm not going to. I'm not gonna hold my breath. Like, I just want my boy to properly get his due. That's all I care about. I never watched the show. I mean, I'm sure it's a great. Some people have said it's like, oh my god, it's really good. Some people have said it sucked. So, he's just gonna be like, just because he's miffed, just because he's upset that, like, he's about the pay that he kind of deserves. Like, I understand, like, the idea of, like, oh, he's just another rich guy. Yeah, I understand that, but, like, at the same time, it's more about the principle of it all. Like, this guy has been with this franchise since pretty much the beginning, since 2011 specifically.
He's one of the few OGs left, right? Like, there's not many of the OGs left.
I mean, ScarJo is dead. Well, no, she's not actually dead, but Black Widow is dead. Iron Man's dead. Captain America is an old man that probably causes fucking doomsday, apparently. So Thor has had 2-3 horrible sequels to his movies, so he's in the shitter. So it's like, he's kind of the only one, like, really doing well for himself, and it's just like, hey, come on, guys, like, come on, this is ridiculous. Exactly, Tony, that's what I'm saying. The only Avengers movie where they lost, they didn't have Hawkeye. I'm just saying.
They didn't have Hawkeye.
I'm just saying.
And so if Hawkeye's not an Avengers Doomsday, we might as well just call it now. They're gonna lose to Doomsday in that movie.
He's like, it's like, even though he's just, I have a bow and arrow. Okay, like, none of this makes sense, but you know what? He still does his fucking job, and he does it well. I'm just saying, if they had him against Thanos, they would have won. I'm just saying. So, they show was good until Kingpin left. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like the idea he gets one-shotted and immediately fucking goes down. Yeah. But, that's...
I like the show. I actually had a really good time with the first season of Hawkeye, and I didn't care as much for, like, some of the controversy around, like, the Kingpin and Echo. I thought Echo was really good in that show. And then it kind of went downhill from there. Of course, Yelena Belova shows up in there, and that kind of ties together. So, yeah, and I would love to see more Haley Steinfeld stuff. Anything with her in the MCU, I so far has been great. And also, at the end of the season, I'm pretty sure that's when we got the Kamala Khan showing up, but doing her impression of Nick Fury. You're a part of a much bigger world, and she's got, like, one of those tablets that Nick Fury might have. So I just remember, what was the line that Hawkeye had, though, about the whole thing of in Avengers: Age of Ultron? It's like, you're fighting aliens, and there's witches fighting, I don't know, like, whatever. There's a dude with an Infinity Stone in his head or something like that, and I've just got a bow and arrow. And we're making it work here, people. So he's also somebody who could be a mentor, because of course he's a father in the MCU. He's got a family, he's got kids, and so you got to see that mentor side of
what's real. It's family.
I mean,
turnabout's fair play. I said it. I said the word. But I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, Hawkeye is the glue that held the Avengers together. And not only that, he was quite frankly a leader. I mean, John, remember how Team Cap actually won in Captain America Civil War? Remember which side Hawkeye was in Captain America Civil War?
Yeah,
I believe it was Team Cap. I believe it was,
look how Iron Man's team was. They had Black Panther, dead. Black Widow, dead. Iron Man himself, dead. Spider-Man, Peter Parker doesn't exist anymore. Like, Vision, dead. So it's just like, just goes to show how fucking Iron Man went.
Yeah, it's damn. Like, if you look at that roster, this doesn't look pretty now. I mean, and Rhodey's Armor Wars movie or show, whatever it's going to be eventually, I don't know what's going on with that. Not to mention, he was apparently a Skrull the whole time. So who knows? Like, it's like a Team Iron Man. There's all kinds of weird situations. But anyway, yeah, Hawkeye. I would love to see a second season of Hawkeye. I wonder if they will make it another Christmas season show, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well,
but Jeremy Renner certainly
back
sounds...
Shane Black. He loves putting Christmas in his movies, so who knows?
Yeah, too bad about Armor Wars. Although they used some of the elements in Iron Man 3, so I understand that maybe if they were having a hard time figuring out the concept, but also what happened in Secret Invasion, I think really, really screwed things up for them. Hey Troy, welcome on in. You're not too late. We just talked about the Taylor Sheridan deal. We're talking about the MCU. You have talked about the Predator, Badlands, and Wicked for Good reactions. But stick around. I would love to see a Hawkeye movie. I just don't know how financially viable it would be. But I'm totally in for season 2 of the show. And Jeremy Renner, it seems like, is also feeling more optimistic than ever. So we'll have to just wait and see until we get more news on this. But John, I believe we have a couple more pieces of news from the world of Marvel. So let's get into the next one, shall we? Because, hey, remember, it wasn't that long ago that we heard that Jeremy Allen White...
Who's out here doing these fan casts? Who the fuck looks at this fucking little twink from Shameless and is like, yeah, this guy is Wolverine? Who the fuck is doing these fan casts? That's what I want to fucking know. Who's looking at this Gene Wilder looking motherfucker and is like, yeah, Wolverine? Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Go home, take a long bath, and then just, like, go to bed. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who did this? Was it the fuckwad who wrote this? Because, like, no. Get out of here. Get out of here. Fucking bullshit, man.
I mean, it's... Okay, so it is a fan cast that I've seen before online. Jeremy Allen White is, of course, one of those actors who's really got it going on right now in terms of just being one of the popular names around town. So he was... I think he was doing an interview, and this is where it comes from. And he mentioned that he had a meeting with Marvel a long time ago. Actually, not that long ago, but he said, like, a few years ago. I think it was in the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz, and he mentioned that in a previous meeting with Marvel Studios, he sort of big-timed them, and they were like, all right, fuck off. Like, he was paraphrasing, but they were like, all right, F off, we don't need you and your attitude. And he was like, look, it was out of line of me to say that, and kind of, regrets having expressed such a disinterest in taking on a Marvel role in the past. But then recently in this Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, it was brought up that, hey man, some people want to see you as the Wolverine, and his response was, oh, that's nice. That's nice, man. Yeah, I mean, Hugh Jackman, that performance is great. He's done it for so long. He's really excellent. That's nice. I'm not a big superhero movie guy, but X-Men was the big, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was like, those were the early ones. And so, of course, I loved all those movies. Yeah, now, John, he doesn't sound like somebody who's a big fan.
In what universe? Not this one. Maybe another one, but not this one.
But he doesn't sound like...
Who the fuck is saying that Jeremy Allen White is looking like Hugh Jackman? That's like saying I look like Hugh Jackman. Hell, I would probably look more like Hugh Jackman because I'm fucking hairy as shit. But, like, outside of that, hell nah. Get out of here.
Oh, man.
Honestly, I will say the Wonka movie was surprisingly really good. I thought Timothy Chalamet surprisingly did a very good job. And
I still prefer the
I'm
Johnny
not a
Depp
Timothy
one.
Chalamet dick writer, so I'm just saying.
I still prefer the Johnny Depp one to the others. But hello, Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
Get out of here. No. Don't fucking bring that shit into my fucking house. Get out of here. No.
Your house, anyway. Let's keep on going though. John, Jeremy Allen White doesn't seem like. By the way, he's got that new movie coming out where he's playing Bruce Springsteen. Deliver Me
I've
from
heard
Nowhere.
mixed things. I've heard it's okay. And,
yeah.
You know.
But like I was saying, he doesn't seem like he's the biggest superhero movie fan. He's not very familiar with the material. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about Hugh Jack. There was a rumor that Hugh Jackman might be sticking around as the Wolverine post Secret Wars anyway. So do you think there's any level of credibility? And there was also a rumor that Marvel might be eyeing him for one of the roles in potentially the new X-Men set of movies that they'll be doing for the MCU. So do you think there's any credibility to the idea, whether it's Wolverine or not, that Jeremy Allen White could be in the MCU not too long from now?
Hell no. I don't think he wants to. I don't think we want to. I mean, it depends on who he is, but I don't know. I just think like he doesn't give off that vibe. I don't think he's into it. I think he just kind of wants to do his own thing. I mean, Bruce Springsteen. I've heard I've heard he's really good. Not necessarily the movie. I've heard he's really good. So I don't know. I just I think I think he'll do fine whatever ventures are next for him. Not Marvel wise. Again, I'm not trying to shit on him or anything.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't think he's into it. Like, I don't think he really would want to do it. So, you know, I just
he said it himself. He doesn't feel like. I mean, he's not falling over himself to get the role. He's not publicly campaigning to play Batman like Alan Ritchson. So I don't know if he's even that interested, but if Marvel were to offer him the role, I suppose he's aware of the idea that some people would like to see it. So we'll have to just wait and see. I this is just complete speculation at this point, but it's interesting whenever an actor is told about something like this and how they react to it. We'll have one more of those in the quick hits later on. But John, there is indeed two more Marvel stories we have to get into. I don't think they're doing a short King Logan. I'm sorry, that's just not happening in Enterprising.
I mean,
but
they already made fun of that in Deadpool.
They did. So I just don't think they're going to do that. But hey, Daredevil Born Again, John, we talked about it. The season 1 was a show that felt a little disjointed because they did this whole creative overhaul and they reshot a lot of things to the point where there were some episodes, especially early in the season, which felt like they were different from the rest because they were shot from the original intent of what the show was meant to be, which was going to be a soft reboot, to what it eventually ended up becoming, which was more or less a sequel to the Netflix Daredevil show. And so Daredevil Born Again with the more grounded, darker, grittier version that we got to see that felt more in line with the Netflix Daredevil. It looks like Matt Murdock himself, Charlie Cox, credits Jon Bernthal, the Punisher, for a lot of what we got from Daredevil Born Again. I guess what we're going to continue to get next year. He was saying about about a scene that Jon Bernthal basically wrote and then put together, which they shot, and then that's the scene which the Marvel and Disney brass saw and were like, "That's the Daredevil we want." And it was because of Jon Bernthal and the work that he did in helping put that together that they were like, let's toss out all that other shit and let's change direction and let's bring back their Daredevil the way that people loved it in Netflix.
No wonder he's in Brand New Day and getting his own movie. They're like, we got to reward this guy for actually, turning like the biggest pile of garbage to something not like okay, like tolerable. I mean, it's not good, but like, hey, it's tolerable. So, good for Jon Bernthal. We love Jon Bernthal in this house. So.
Yeah, I mean, and if Liz was here, she would definitely be clapping at this news because, yeah, like you said, he's got what 2 or 3 different things coming out in the MCU next year. He's got Brand New Day. He's got a role in that. He's got his own Punisher special, and then he's gonna be in Daredevil Born Again season 2. So it's going to be interesting. Hi, more cat. Now we haven't gone to DC news yet, but we'll get there soon enough. So thank you for joining in. Hit the like button while you guys are here, of course. I am surprised to hear that John Bernthal wrote the scene. Like he's not just somebody who looks good on camera and is a decent actor and you know good at doing action, but the man has got the mind for the business. He knows how to write a good story and a good scene, and so I'd love to see, because I believe we heard not that long ago that he was heavily involved in the creative, like for the Disney Plus special that they're doing for the Punisher. So he's not just acting in it, he's producing it. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised that John Bernthal is involved on the back, you know, behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. So good for him, and I can't wait to see what the show turns into, especially because season 2 now, John, is not going to be reshot twice. It's going to be a show that will hopefully feel more cohesive because they have that direction that they figured out last season. So hopefully we'll get to see more Frank Castle in there. Yeah, absolutely. His evolution has only just begun saying enterprising. Now, speaking of evolution, of course, John, over the years, back in the day, we had the MCU on film. That was Marvel Studios. Then we had the MCU on TV. That was Marvel Television. And probably the biggest staple of Marvel on television, at least live action Marvel on television, was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. And I personally loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I saw it from beginning to end, all 10 seasons, loved it. It was definitely a show that had its moments. It was uneven at times, but it's one of those shows where, you know, you after a while, it's like, it feels like family, like you're going back to watch it every season. And you know, you like the parts that other people might look at and say, this is terrible. What are you watching? This is trash. And you sit past that stuff so that when you get to the good parts, you enjoy them even more because you love the characters. And especially like Agent Coulson. I think his character left the MCU way too early, and we got to see him for like another, like basically 10 years on ABC with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And speaking of, Clark Gregg himself was at New York Comic Con recently, where Liz was as well, and we had that show with Liz talking about her experience a couple of weeks ago. Now, we know that Kevin Feige hasn't been the biggest fan of that era of Marvel television, so there's always been this question about what is canon and what is not to the MCU proper. And so he was posed this question of, you know, the Phase 1 storytelling, especially a lot of the TV shows back then, now that we're in an era where like Daredevil is considered canon, what about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter? Like, is it actually canon? And some fans were suggesting, no, it's not. Like, it's not even, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't even a part of the MCU, really. And to that, Clark Gregg took, it seems like, personal offense. And he said, there are some people who talk about canon. You can go fuck yourself. We're proud of what we did. We're proud, really deeply proud of the connection we have with people like you who come visit and hang with us. I personally, look, it gave us a really good version of Ghost Rider.
I'm just going to say this. I've said this in regards to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For the most part, I was like, okay, maybe some of it's canon, some of it's not, because like there are some things that like huge things that directly contradict stuff that happens in like later Marvel stuff. So it's just like, it's kind of like a floating timeline. You can like maybe, but now because you said that, now I'm going to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon because you had to be a fucking dickhead about it. Because you were being an asshole and you had to say, go fuck yourselves to the people that supported you throughout your entire shitty ass.
Well, I think he was talking about other
garbage ass fucking run. Frankly, you can suck a dick, and I'm going to say, go fuck yourself, and your shitty ass show is not fucking canon. Clark Gregg, suck my nuts. Go eat a fucking dick. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, asshole. Like, I'm so sick of this shit. Like, you were part of, like, a shitty TV series in, like, the late 2010s. Don't act like you're fucking, like, Marlon Brando over here, asshole. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Who the fuck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Like, really? Really? Like, oh, it's like, oh, I made this like fucking shitty show that like 10 people fucking watched, and now you have to act like you're like greater than sliced bread. Get the fuck out of here. You're an asshole. I hope you go fucking chuck rocks, loser. That's why you're gonna be a fucking shitty ass TV actor for the rest of your life. Fucking get the fuck out of here, you loser. Dipshit.
Fuck you, Greg. Okay, I didn't have the same reaction. Obviously, Liz was there. You can see she had an autographed photo from the cast. Ming-Na Wen, Chloe.
And he looks so uncomfortable to be there.
Well, Liz had a story about that.
Like hates his life. Like, just go home, make yourself some oatmeal, and watch like Days of Our Lives in front of the TV set while you go to sleep at 5 p.m. Get out of here. Get out of here, you fucking dickwad.
Something has been activated, or I don't know, like I did not think there was that much hate in your mind for the show, John. Clark Gregg is.
I'll fucking go off. He's a loser. Fuck him.
Well, I think he was just being defensive. He's like, it was our show. We were proud of what we did and the people who supported us.
Okay, the thing is, you could be like, okay.
He was talking more about the people who didn't support.
Get like comic book continuity, and anything adjacent doesn't mean shit. But like, why do you have to be an asshole about it? Why do you have to be like, oh, I was so proud of what it? Cool, you can be proud of what you did and be like, well, it's comic book stuff. We're not really sure. I liked what we did. That's all you had to say. But no, you had to specifically say, go fuck yourself to the people that were with your ass for a decade of watching this fucking show. And it's just like, it makes no sense to me.
No, well, but John, I don't think he's talking about those people. I think he's talking about the people questioning the canon of the show, which are mostly people who didn't watch the show.
Fans do that,
so
non-fans do this. So it's just like whatever. Like I'm sick. I'm sick of the holier than thou crap. That's all. I'm just fucking sick of that shit. I'm sick of it.
Okay, fair enough. I will just say there's been rumors that Chloe Bennett's Quake character might be part of Secret Wars. So the canonicity, if that's a word, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while it might be in question, and Kevin Feige has always sidestepped the question, maybe that does leave the door open, because in the latter half of the show, in the latter seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they kind of went in like, these time travel seasons. They went into these alternate timelines and back. So they found ways to give the show the creative freedom, the writers, to do what they wanted to do without necessarily directly contradicting the events of the MCU. But also, even within some, like you said, canon, what is canon? It's like canon schman and whatever. Like back in the Fox days, they really didn't give a shit. But like even in the MCU proper, like things don't quite always line up. Even in the DCEU, which is a bad example, I realize that. But like the costumes of Aquaman and the Lanteans look completely different from the Zack Snyder movie to the Aquaman movie.
Stop being a dickhead.
So
who gives a fuck? Like, I don't care. Now I'm gonna say it's not canon because you were an asshole. So
all right. Well, I personally like to believe that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon, especially because I think like when they tied it into like the Winter Soldier, they had, of course, Nick Fury himself, Sam Jackson show up. They had, of course, one of the Thor characters, I forgot, Lady Sif show up, Jamie Alexander. So yeah, and Ming-Na Wen was again a great part of the show. Chloe Bennett, all the other actors, I'm forgetting the name of. There were so many, Elizabeth Henstridge and a few other actors. So with that, hopefully we'll get to see those characters come back. Maybe Agent Coulson does make an appearance in a future.
He should have stayed
movie,
dead.
So.
Fuck that dude.
All right, John. But guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about MCU Weekly today. A lot of stories, a lot of different, corners of the MCU and Marvel. Let us know which of those stories you were excited about the most. Whether it's Daredevil Born Again, was it, of course, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff? You know what John feels about that, or was it, and the rumor that maybe Damson Idris might be the next T'Challa, potentially, maybe, or Hawkeye season 2. Let us know which of those intrigued you the most. But in the meantime, we're gonna move into a quicker part of Oh So Curious, because we got DCU Daily coming up. But before we get there, John, it's time for the quick hits. So let's dive into the quick hits. And here we go. Only Murders in the Building renewed for 6th season with show headed to London. It's now confirmed. It was a rumor, and now it is confirmed they're going to London because of how season 5 ends. They got to solve their latest murder, and season 6 is on the way. John, what do you think?
Don't watch the show, but I'm happy for all the people that do watch the show that still enjoy it. I know my family still watches it. Friends still watch it. They still enjoy it, and it's like on a consistent basis. Unlike Slow Horses, which is a very different way of doing a consistent basis because they do stuff back to back. This one, I don't think they do stuff back to back. I think it's just an actual consistent like season by season, like how it used to be. Remember when like there would be yearly seasons and not waiting like 14 fucking like years between seasons? Good times. So I appreciate them for that. I don't know if I'll ever watch the show. I think it's just in too deep and it's too long, even though I love Steve Martin and Martin Short. But you know, I'm happy for the show, and hopefully they can keep this good track. Keep it going. Keep it going well. Good
yeah,
track
I mean,
record.
I'm behind on the
That's what I'm
show.
trying to say.
Yeah. It's a perfect comfort whodunit kind of a show, which there's not many of them out there right now. But yeah, it's a fun show. I'm behind on it, but like, you know, you gotta love Steve Martin and Martin Short. So yeah, and of course Selena Gomez continues to be just like the part of that magical trio, and they're stuck around long enough that who knew this show was gonna have 6 seasons when it first started. But here we go. Let's keep on going, John. We got more stuff to talk about.
Next up, Cinemark to add 70mm IMAX screens ahead of Christopher Nolan's they're getting ready. They're getting ready.
So I believe they said that they have like 3 or 4 IMAX screens already that they're going to like replace with IMAX with laser, so it's gonna have laser projection. They're also building 3 new 70mm IMAX screens, which I believe there's like only 30 total in the entire world, so that's like a 10% more now there will be in a couple of years, or by next year this time when the movie is out for Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. That's a big investment from Cinemark. I actually have their membership and I have a bunch of credits, so I think they said one of the ones they're building is going to be in upstate New York, so maybe I'll go see it, or I'll have to just wait and see if they end up putting a 70mm IMAX in one of the ones in the Northeast. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's interesting. Cinemark obviously committing to the IMAX format, and IMAX is doing great right now. So Christopher Nolan, of course, Sir President Christopher Nolan, president of the DGA, you know, making some changes. This is one of the things you talked about. What comes next? Maybe he had a hand in making this happen. Cinemark, they're in the Nolan business, so let's keep on rolling.
Yep. November 17th will be a happy day for DC fans on Netflix because
tell us why, John.
is going to be streaming. Very exciting.
Blue Beetle comes to
movie,
Netflix.
Not the greatest movie ever, but you know, it was probably one of the few bright spots of 2023 for DC. So if you guys have Netflix and don't have HBO Max for some reason, then by all means.
Yeah, and you know why this is significant? Because you might be wondering, well, Blue Beetle has been on HBO Max for years at this point, so what's the kerfuffle about this? We know of all of the shows and movies that have found new life and become hits once they hit Netflix. Like, for example, Suits became such a big hit, you know, well after it was, you know, canceled on USA Network,
and
that they decided to make a spin-off. Right. I mean, you know, forget how it worked out, but like for a network to commit to a sequel or spin-off to a show that has been dead for a number of years that was on your cable network, that means that, you know, getting big on Netflix has a real effect on your property and your IP. So I hope that a lot of people watch Blue Beetle on Netflix, and I hope that convinces James Gunn to give us a Shola Maridueña-led Blue Beetle sequel or some sort of live-action iteration in the near future, because I know we're getting him in an animated show, but I want him back in live action. So I'm going to be watching it on Netflix. I haven't seen Blue Beetle since it came out in theaters, so maybe I'll go check it out. So, but yeah, this looks fun.
But going off of, you know, NBC Universal news, MSNBC sets official date for MS Now name change.
It's November
15th. So if you guys fucking care about that, then there you go.
This is part of the whole Versant spinoff. So a lot of the cable networks that NBC Universal owns, they're spinning them off, you know, including US Network, the Sci-Fi channel, and all that, including and also MSNBC, which is now going to be called MS Now, and is going to be a separate company from Comcast proper. So they won't have the same news division that NBC has, and therefore MSNBC, the NBC in the MSNBC, is going to get swapped out for MS Now. And we know now if you tune into the channel, you're going to see a different logo, a different branding, November 15th, which is a couple of weeks away. So there you go.
So cool.
That's great. A good idea. Okay. Dirty Harry movies.
But Sony announces it won't be bidding to buy Warner Bros. Because it's focused on growth markets like anime. Good. We don't fucking want you here anyway. So, like, cool. Great.
Yeah, Sony basically, their CEO said, "Look, we're not going to be bidding on Warner Brothers because they're focusing on, like you mentioned, their growth markets, which anime is a big one. I mean, this past weekend, anime was again at the top of the box office. It was a Sony anime led and anime that they distributed, and it beat out a bunch of other movies at the box office. So clearly, anime is huge, and of course, Sony is making a big bet on it, and I'm not surprised they're not going into this. I mean, and even if they were, they wouldn't publicly share that interest. Even Paramount, that's made 3 bids, has publicly not said that they're bidding on Warner Brothers, and of course, Netflix also said they're not interested in legacy media. So, yeah, Sony, add that to the pile of names of companies that are publicly not interested, and I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Yeah.
But speaking of, Sony Crunchyroll's Chainsaw Man revs higher with an $18 million opening. Regarding You somehow rises to number 2. And speaking of Jeremy Allen White, Springsteen is still low. But Chainsaw Man was setting up for a, I think $14 million opening, if I remember correctly. But no, it went higher with 18.2 specifically. So that is pretty dang awesome. So very exciting for the anime crowd, and then for the people that like terrible movies, they got in the number 2 spot with Regretting You with 13.685 million. Really got to get all the numbers in there. And then Mason Thames, he's doing the Lord's work here. He's killing it with Black Phone 2, 12 million with at number 3.
In the second
and then
weekend, yeah,
Deliver Me From Nowhere, still not doing good. And then apparently Begonia got released as well. So
yeah, I saw. I've been seeing trailers for that. Yeah, of course, we love the quickest music too. Acres of movies. It's a signature part of the Oh So Curious experience. But yeah, Sony's Crunchyroll honor roll at the box office. Let's keep on going here, John.
Mm-hmm. Brad Pitt's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel receives an official release window, which, apparently according to
summer 2026.
Yes, summer 2026. I mean, that's not really specific because that could be any of like 4 months, but
So the significance of this is that Netflix, of course, recently said they're going to be putting Narnia, the new Narnia movie Greta Gerwig is directing, in theaters for like a 4-week run, and they've also brought back the K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters. We know with AMC they've got this deal where they're going to put the finale of Stranger Things in theaters for a little bit. So if you go to the next Variety article and you scroll down, you'll have to just find the paragraph. There's a little comment in this, and it's sort of, if you blink, you might miss it, where they talk about how if you search the word robust, apparently Netflix is considering contemplating a more robust rollout for David Fincher's Adventures of Cliff Booth, which is, of course, the Brad Pitt-led sequel to Once Upon a Time that Quentin Tarantino directed back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that implies that they'll probably want to put it out in theaters for a little bit. And if they're giving Narnia 4 weeks, then John, maybe, just maybe, this Adventures of Cliff Booth movie might become like the first Netflix movie that might play in theaters for, I don't know, maybe like 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Hopefully it's better.
Kind of like a lot of other
one.
movies do now. Yeah.
So
because the first Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it was a huge hit. Like it was a big movie for not only Tarantino but also in general. So hopefully David Fincher gets that same treatment for his sequel. But yeah, I mean, hey, Netflix starting to actually come around to the idea that movies making money in theaters actually is a good thing for the movies, and then only helps them when the movie gets to their streaming service. So we'll have to just wait and see how things play out. Maybe this is another one of those IMAX event release movies that they're collaborating on with Netflix and Apple TV and so on and so forth. But John, let's keep on rolling here because we've got a few more quick hits. Jeff Bridges says it's interesting to consider movies like Tron Ares box office failures after just opening weekend. He was saying things can grow on you, saying don't just look at a movie's opening weekend and then just forget about it. He basically was.
To be fair, it's a different way of movies. It's a different because he mentions Heaven's Gate, which is like this huge, epic and it failed at the time, but now people like love it, even though it does have like a multitude of problems. It's like one of those movies that could have been rather than what it was. But it's just different how things go. Obviously, you know, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and we're not going to know about the success of Tron Ares until like 20 years down the line. But even then, movies are different now. It's a different way of going about stuff. So it's just like I can't exactly imagine like Tron Ares like being. I understand like some people like it and that's fine, but it's just, you know, it's also these movies that become cult classics. They were cult classics that, you know, like they in the 70s and 80s and 90s. So it's like, obviously we won't know, but it feels like it's a different time for movies, and we don't know if like these modern movies that are very like sanitized and don't take risks will be remembered for 10 years, let alone 20, 30, 40. So, you know, we're just gonna have to wait and see if Tron Ares holds that candle, but I don't think it will. And it's true, things can grow on you, but at the same time, I don't know, I can't imagine like it becoming like this huge fucking thing. So, you know, whatever. Yeah,
here's the thing. We would have to get into the whole what defines a cult classic, what makes a movie a cult classic. But Tron Ares, I see the point that Jeff Bridges was trying to make. And, you know, he's obviously a little biased because he's in the movie. The franchise is really one of those franchises that he's the face of this thing. He's been a part of this franchise for almost the entirety of his career. So I get it, but I don't even think Tron Ares is the best entry in the franchise. But you never know. I mean, you know, maybe after watching it a few more times, it might grow on you. So he's not necessarily wrong about that. I've seen Amazing Spider-Man 2 like 50 times. And it's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. But I know that I'm a little biased to it because of how many times I've seen it. So anyway, let's keep on going here. Hunter, I don't know what the Dispatch game is, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. We'll have to look into that for another time. I don't know if John is familiar with it, but let's talk about James Bond, shall we, John? Sydney Sweeney was recently doing a cover article for Variety, and so, you know, as part of that, you get a photo shoot, but you also get an interview. And she was asked, like, hey, what about those Bond girl casting rumors? And she had an interesting response to that, John. Why don't you tell us what she said there?
Well, she said, I can't. 7-second pause. I don't know. 10-second pause. To be honest, I don't know all the Bond rumors, but I've always been a huge fan of the franchise, and I'm excited and curious to see what they do with it. And she said, depends on the script. I think I'd have more fun as James Bond. So, whole bunch of nothing. It's just like, that sounds cool.
I mean, look, she certainly didn't say no. She also, like, those pauses. By the way, hello, figure drawing in the chat. Those pauses maybe imply that she might know more than she's letting on, but then again, it might not. And she might just be playing coy or just, trying to keep things a little ambiguous. But I wouldn't mind seeing her as a Bond girl. I think she could be great.
I would want someone with a little bit more flavor, but that's just me. And I like Sydney Sweeney. I don't have the gigantic hate boner that everyone has for Sydney Sweeney because, like, she was in a commercial one time, so, you know. But whatever.
I mean, John, do you remember Denise Richards was a Bond girl back in the 90s? I'm like,
yeah, we don't talk about that, Dan, and that's not a good thing to like remember.
No, I know,
I know.
To,
like, you know, not a good movie, not a good
I know.
At all. So
it's not a.
Let's not do that.
She is a blonde girl. Maybe there is that, says figure drawing. Okay. I'm just saying she's a better actress than Denise Richards.
Speaking of a blonde girl, Margot Robbie as Britney Spears. No, thank you. Anyway,
according to E! News, there's a rumor going around, a report that Margot Robbie is being considered to play Britney Spears in her biopic. I mean, this combined with what was it, the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman reboot potentially in the works. Margot Robbie could have a couple big projects on the horizon because a recent movie with Colin Farrell certainly flopped. So let's see if this goes anywhere. This would be a big movie. A Britney Spears biopic would make a lot of money. I'm not saying it's going to be as big as the Michael movies will be next year, but it would be a big one. So we will have to see.
Yep.
But yeah. Let's keep on
Next up.
rolling.
But of course, the wonderful Robert Englund is going to be getting the 2,826th. Man, they really fucking just throw these out to anybody. Hollywood Walk of Fame, and
Nowadays,
it's of course
yeah.
going to be on Halloween to commemorate his horror roots.
We're going to be on
We're going to
Halloween.
be talking about his
Yeah.
famous franchise on Tier List Tuesdays. So
And we
that's
did
gonna
it
be
on
very
Fancast
exciting.
Friday. It's just perfect because we just did the Freddy Krueger fan casting on Friday. Go watch that. And then after the show, we're here listing all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So yeah, and then of course this Friday we've got another Fancast Friday, and I'm sure a Halloween related topic might win the day. So yeah, it'll be fun, and this is timely as ever. So congratulations to Robert Englund.
Yes, but that's it.
That's
For
it.
quick hits.
Those are the
So-
quick hits.
Oh yeah. So we're just
We're
gonna
gonna-
do that.
Yep.
And then get rid of this damn music. There we go.
There we
Boom.
go. Yep. Well, guys, let us know what you thought about the news and the quick hits down in the comments below. We're going to move into talking about DC, and it's going to be fun because there's lots to get into. But as Waiter once upon a time said, DC time.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
All right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. Thanks for sticking around through the news and the quick hits. Now we're going to talk about all the good stuff from the world of DC Studios, and the DCU, maybe even the DCEU. We'll get into a lot of those things, from Batman to Superman to A Man of Tomorrow to the Lanterns to Supergirl and Clayface, and so much more. To do that with me, as always, I've got John. John, what are you most looking forward to today?
Oh, I'm looking forward to talking about Clayface and Lanterns. Always good to talk about those. I'm really sick of talking about, like, where does James Gunn stand if fucking WB gets bought out? Like, I'm fucking sick of that shit. Like, I just want that to be done and over with. And goddamn.
Yep, and we got a piece of news coming our way right as we went live. So we're gonna get into that. There's some more Man of Tomorrow news and speculation. But before we get into that part of the show, John, let's get into some of the DC quick hits, the Parrots, Ducks, Pelicans of DC news, as we like to call them. Let's start off with the Clayface news. Tom Rice Harris, he posted in his Instagram stories recently saying that this week will conclude the production on Clayface. Now, the movie's set to hit theaters in September 11, 2026. We are here in October 29th, basically the end of October of 2025. So we are now less than a year away from the movie coming out, John. Do you think Tom Rice Harris is saying that he's going to wrap on the movie, or the movie as a whole is going to wrap this week? And then also, are you excited to see that or hear that? Because of course, that just means they've got all the footage in the can, and now they get into editing. It feels a little more tangible.
I don't remember
right?
when they started filming, but this seems about right. I mean, I think they've been filming for a couple months now, and it's not a lot. It's a small knit kind of horror film, so I can't imagine that they're going to do that. So, I think that makes sense. I think this is going to be a fun time, and it seems like it's beginning about a year of effects, much like Superman, much like Supergirl. So that's really good, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point. Like, they're going to give it plenty of time for the VFX side of things, and just post-production in general. And yes, Anthony, by the way, hello in the chat. We did talk about the reports of potentially Damson Idris as the next Black Panther, as the next T'Challa in the MCU. Be kind and rewind for that. But moving into the next quick hit, John, let's talk about Clayface a little bit more, because over the weekend, James Gunn shared the special post, of course, as he does for a lot of the characters that are in the DC universe. He was celebrating the anniversary of Clayface. He also mentioned that he can't wait to see Clayface being played by Tom Rice Harris, bringing him to life on the big screen next year. There's still been speculation about, how this is going to tie into the rest of the DCU, John. But now that the movie is just about wrapped up filming, and we will talk about making a cameo in some other things recently as well. Clayface, do you think this character is going to have a big role to play in what is, after all, chapter 1 of the DCU called Gods and Monsters? I imagine Clayface counts as at least one of those two things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be huge or anything, but I think it'll make a profit because it'll be small enough, and I think like you're gonna have a lot of the super nerds going in and being a fan of it because they recognize Clayface. But it's also the Batman Association might help. But it's also you're gonna get the horror fans who are like, "Ooh, body horror stuff. That's really interesting." You're gonna get Substance fans and all that. So I think this will definitely be a win for. And it's got a good director. I didn't love his last project, but I think he's done good work in the past. It's got the Mike Flanagan script. Even though that did partially get rewritten, it's still James Gunn did still say it was Mike Flanagan's story, and the guy who they got to do rewrites is a good writer. He wrote Drive, so
underrated movie. Yeah.
So I don't think it's underrated. Most people love that movie. Many people claim it's the only good Nicholas Winding Refn movie. So, I think this will be a hit. Personally, I think this will be a hit. Also, why the fuck are people still talking about Matthew McConaughey in the fucking chat? Who gives a fucking shit? Okay, we're not talking about that right now.
I don't get it. That's just really off topic. But hey, speaking of this cover, John, you kind of gave us a bit of a hint. We saw this cover of Detective Comics somewhere else recently too, didn't we?
Yes. So it's very interesting that the two comics we get in this world are The Flash, which Andy Muschietti did direct, and it's specifically a multiverse story, which The Flash was, the movie version was. But it's interesting how they've been filming it, Welcome to Derry, for a while, long before Clayface was greenlit. Long before they had the script, like the proper script Mike Flanagan submitted. So it's very interesting how not only is it specifically a Clayface, it's like, okay, it's a Batman comic. Of course, he's going to be directing Batman. That makes sense. He directed The Flash. He's going to be directing Batman. He has those Easter eggs in there. Cool, great. But it's specifically the Clayface comic, and not only that, the Clayface comic where Matt Hagen was introduced, aka the Clayface they're going to be putting into the Clayface movie. So I just find that to be very, very interesting and coincidental. Maybe Andy Muschietti was ticked off to a couple things way before it was officially greenlit. I don't know, but obviously, as of right now, it doesn't seem like a coincidence because we've known about Clayface for a while. But the thing is, this movie was not greenlit. This movie was not greenlit for a while. So, what do we know? What did Andy Muschietti know? So, I'm just I think I don't know. I just find that to be very, very interesting.
I mean, are you implying that maybe Batman has something to do with this iteration of Clayface? Is that why?
No, it's just it's just interesting how Welcome to Derry was filming for a while, the past 2 or 3 years. This because it started filming, it got delayed because of strikes and stuff like that. Then they went back to drawing board. This has been in development for a while, long before Clayface was greenlit. So I'm just saying, did Andy Muschietti know that Clayface was going to get greenlit before Batman? And he specifically put a Clayface comic into the show even before Clayface was greenlit, or did he already know that Clayface was gonna be greenlit? And I don't know. It just seems like interesting stuff.
Yeah. It is certainly interesting. We probably are reading a little bit too much into it, but it's a great Easter egg.
Like, I mean, that's what
it's
we
a great
do
Easter egg.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
of course.
No, absolutely. Hey, absolutely. But it was great seeing that, and I think Clayface will be a much bigger part of the conversation in the coming months because we're going to be getting ready to see the new movie. So, in the meantime, John, we got a few more quickies to get into from the world of DC. Let's dive into the next one, shall we? It's been a busy time for the world of the DCU, but Zack Snyder is having one hell of a time reminiscing over his DCEU, and amongst the several photos he's posted recently, we talked about the Deathstroke photo, Henry Cavill Superman photo. Of course, he also posted Ben Affleck's most recent photo on his Instagram account, showing what was, I think, one of the screen test suits for Batman with Ben Affleck there. You can see it's a Polaroid photo. Some of the elements of the suit I feel like might have gotten changed a little. Maybe like
honestly,
the cowl looks a little different
more because he looks smaller. Remember, I don't mind him in big Batman.
He
type
was
stuff.
swole
Like,
in Batman v Superman.
Like, honestly, I kind of like this size more because clearly he's still big and intimidating, but like not like the gargantuan he was in BVS. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You can tell that the
put his arms down his side. You saw him like he was walking around like the real life Hulk. Like
he looked like a Roblox character.
He did. You would see paparazzi photos of him like grabbing, I don't know, like an Orange Julius or something, and he's like doing this because he literally couldn't put his arms down his side. Like the dude was.
And I like
huge.
how the logo looks a little bit more. How it's more embossed. I like the cowl a little bit more. It looks more like a cowl. Because here's the thing. It looks more like bat ears. Because one of the problems I had, and I didn't say this during the bat suit tier list, was it looks more like cat ears on his cowl a little bit. Like it's like it doesn't look like bat ears. Like the way it's this looks like a better overall design than what we got in BVS. And not saying, I mean, as I said,
pretty bulked up though.
He's still roided out, my guy. And the thing is, I still love the bat suit. I put that shit in S tier, as you all remember. I put that shit in fucking S tier. So I'm just saying, this honestly looks even better than what we got, and I still liked that suit. So this would be like almost S plus, especially if it's gray and black, because he was the first one to do that since Adam West. So
yeah.
But I do agree that Zach needs to stop.
I mean, again, he's just really proud of the stuff. I mean, is he hinting at something? Is he trying to rile up the fan base? I don't know. He's always sort of skirted that line. He's never, he's good job. I think Zack Snyder's too smart of a guy. He's too intelligent of a dude to not realize what this does on social media. I don't think he's that much into his own ego. Like, clearly, he sees the responses, he sees the comments. But anyway, Ben was the tallest bat. He was actually taller than Henry Cavill's Superman. But anyway, speaking of James Gunn's DCU, he was recently saying that he reviewed the Creature Commando season script recently, saying I was reviewing the Creature Commando scripts this morning. And from the sounds of it, John, it looks like season 2 is farther along than maybe we anticipated. We don't yet have a release date for the season 2 of the show. But if he's reviewing scripts, John, they mustn't be that far away from potentially. I mean, they might already be doing animatics and working on it already. And I'm sure they'll bring voice actors.
We need another season of GI Robot sending Nazis back to hell. So
yeah. Yeah, Reacher would be big. Oh my god, I'm still watching the latest season of Reacher figure drawing. Yeah, Alan Ritchson is huge, but also probably doesn't have the range for Batman. But hey, Creature Commando season 2 coming out potentially sooner than we expected. And James Gunn, it looks like if he's reviewing the script, that means he's not writing it. So maybe he's a little more hands off for season 2. So that's something you can infer from this comment. But I'm excited to see where this goes. Certainly not one of those things that a lot of people had on their bingo card when they heard about a DC reboot was Creature Commandos. How is it going to play now that Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. seems to have gone completely, evil, or at least, I don't know, James Gunn seems to think he's always been that guy. So
what did I say? Oh no, what am I being thanked for? What did I do? Oh, not
Yeah.
seeing. Okay, yeah, no, I gotcha. Okay.
That comment's about Zack Snyder. Okay, let's keep on going here with the quick hits. And we got a few more.
Colin Farrell on possible season 2 of The Penguin again, and how HBO series leads to the Batman. It's like, bro, how many times is this man gonna get this fucking question? Like, I swear to God, he's like, and then he like flip flops. He's like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's not happening. It's happening. It's like, I want to.
He's like, I'm gonna give you the odds. Like, I always like to be a little pessimistic, and then he also said that the movie Batman Part 2 takes place a few weeks after the events of Penguin, which we sort of already knew. We know that he's got a limited role. It's not as big as the first movie. Not a ton of news here, other than the fact that he's saying that, look, when I talk about a season 2 of the Penguin, I personally like to play it down a little bit because that's who I am. But at the same time, he mentioned some of the higher ups, including he implied not just the folks over at DC, but also some of the Casey Bloys over at HBO. They seem to be interested in the idea of a season 2 for the Penguin, and they've been tossing around and back and forth some of those ideas potentially to justify the existence of a season 2. Colin Farrell is one of those guys who he's never going to be like, yeah, give me another season. But he's like, there seems to be some ideas that they have in mind. And of course, we know Lauren LaFranc has got an overall deal now with HBO, so she's not going anywhere. Matt Reeves certainly seems to have gotten past whatever creative writer's block that he had, and the movie is now in pre-production. So John, this is exciting. Colin Farrell not giving us a ton of new news, but it was just, again, we're getting to hear from him for the 19th time that the Batman Part 2 takes place a few weeks after the events of the Penguin, and maybe there's a chance we'll get a sequel or at least a season 2 to the Penguin, which would not make it a limited series. So I wonder if they'll have to give their Emmys back, but we'll have to see how that works out. Let's keep on going here.
But Mattson Tomlin writing the Batman 2 alongside Matt Reeves, I'm sure we'll talk about this at length when the movie is out. But yes, in the room together, word by word, making it was as great as possible. Working closely with him has been, role of a lifetime kind of stuff.
An experience of a lifetime, John. That's what he said. Working with Matt Reeves, I'm sure it was an experience of a lifetime, because never had he probably ever worked with a director, writer who worked on the same script for 3 years before he finally finished and turned in a draft for James Gunn to look at. But hey, I'm not surprised. Mattson Tomlin, this is probably the highest profile project he's ever worked on, even more so than the first Batman, because now we have expectations. And
although I have heard Terminator Zero is quite good, so there's that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome, cool. Next up, apparently Supergirl rumored to be undergoing 2 weeks of reshoots, possibly to add scenes with Superman. I mean, everyone knows Superman, of course. What the fuck else are you talking about? You a spoiler. Yeah, like, come on, who the fuck else was it be? Green Goblin? Like, they're gonna bring that in? Like, hello.
I mean, it's so yeah, they're gonna have more David Cornsweet in it. I'm not surprised. Daniel Rickman, of course, putting this out there that they're doing a couple of weeks of reshoots, which isn't. I mean, you can call it reshoots, or you can call it maybe additional photography, depending on what they're actually doing. We don't know quite the nature of the reshoots, but it's pretty common these days to see this with all these big budget movies. We have talked about it for Marvel and for DC, so yeah, not surprised to see this. The Hollywood Reporter recently mentioned that Supergirl had a quiet screening on the backlots of Warner Brothers, where a very close inner circle of James Gunn's trusted DC stable got to see the movie. And so maybe, they got some notes from the executives, and then now they're going in and doing some reshoots. This is normal in the world of big, studio pictures. So it's nothing to be alarmed about.
Yep. But next up, apparently James Gunn's Superman returns to the big screen. Catch it in IMAX yesterday. Only at Shaw Theaters.
Oops.
So,
it was there, and now it's gone. You can catch it on HBO Max again. So, but yeah, let's get to the next quick hit. We got one more Superman quick hit to talk about. John, we now know not only when, but also potentially where The Man of Tomorrow is going to start filming. James Gunn recently mentioned that he's getting geared up for Man of Tomorrow, and it's not just going to begin production in April 2026, right around the same time as the Batman Part 2, but as you see here on screen, it will begin production in Georgia. Now, we know a lot of DC and Marvel movies these days are filming across the pond in the UK, but James Gunn shot a good chunk of Superman as well as Peacemaker in Georgia, and it looks like Man of Tomorrow will be doing the same. So I'm not surprised about this. But John, while we are on the subject of Man of Tomorrow, let's talk a little bit about a piece of news that dropped from Nexus Point News while we have been live, because they have a new report mentioning what seems to be the synopsis for Man of Tomorrow. And that might be implying, or at least inferring, who we might expect to see as the villain of the Superman sequel that James Gunn likes to call Man of Tomorrow. So let's dive into that, shall we? Because this is, hot off the press, and Nexus Point News has been on the mark in the past for a lot of things. Let's zoom into this if we can. This is an exclusive report, and they're talking about the casting description for Man of Tomorrow has given us maybe a few hints, and if you look at the imagery here, they certainly are implying that it might be Brainiac. Let's dive into this a little bit. The casting description. Okay, so sources. I'll just read it off the paragraph here. Sources tell Nexus Point News that makeup and prosthetics will be used for the film's antagonist. In addition, actors with a strong build and stature are being looked at for the role. The makeup and prosthetic portion heavily hints at the character being Brainiac, known for his green skin and technological enhancements. Another character heavily speculated by fans to be the villain is Mongol, whom the casting description could be hinting at as well. Mongol in particular is particularly known for his size, and the makeup could be used to recreate his yellow skin. John, do you believe either of those things, or do you think this is a bit of speculation? Because they don't give us a whole lot of detail here. If you go back to the top of the article, it just seems like, yeah, they need prosthetics for the character, for the villain. Actually, just if you go back to the paragraph, it said prosthetics, and they want somebody with a strong build and stature. It's a comic book movie. You could really, makeup and prosthetics. Ronan the Accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy, you could strong build and stature. Lee Pace definitely checks all those boxes. Are they talking about Mongol or Brainiac? What do you think?
It could be anybody. I mean, somebody was talking about Parasite earlier, and that could definitely be something if they want to go more practical. I think it could be Mongol, it could be Brainiac, it could be a lot of different people. So obviously we'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely something to look out for if this is true. Nexus has been on the track to be a little bit more noteworthy than some other, they're pretty much on the right between official news source and scoopers. They're kind of right in the middle. So I think I think because they did report on the Green Lantern stuff, and we'll be getting into that soon enough, and that mostly was correct. So it seems like, and as well as I think they talked with David Denman on his role in Peacemaker season 2. So there's that. So I think there are a couple things that make them a little bit more noteworthy than someone like Jeff Snyder, for instance. So,
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree with you there. I might actually try to get the editor of the Nexus Point News, DC Film News, on the show. Maybe we can talk to them directly. But let's talk about the Lantern stuff, shall we? Because Chris Mundy, the showrunner of Lanterns, was recently interviewed by, I think it was Men's Journal, was it? Men's Health, rather. The creator of the show, Chris Mundy, on why Aaron Pierre was the hero he needed, is saying that the complexities that make Jon Stewart special are just innately inside of Aaron Pierre. Let's get into some of the highlights. We have a couple of quotes if you go to the next article from the Men's Health interview. And the first thing that I wanted to get into here, Chris Mundy specifically was talking about why he considered Aaron Pierre for the role of Jon Stewart. And so let's take a look at that quote, John, if you skip across to the next article, I want to read the quote from Chris Mundy because, yeah, it must have been a really, busy, complex, multi-step process casting Jon Stewart. So let's see if you can read into this, John. If you want to switch over to the next article, we can talk about this. By the way, the Watcher is in the chat. Hello, Watcher. How are you doing? Thanks for joining in. So yeah, Chris Mundy was saying we looked at a ton of people that met with a bunch of candidates. Then Aaron Pierre and Damon Lindelof and I all went and just had coffee here at Warner Brothers. He's a quiet guy by nature, but when you get him one-on-one, he has such a warmth. On a TV show, you need the people you're working with to be good at their jobs, but you're also going to live together for a long time. So it helps if we all like each other too, and I just instantly liked him. So I guess he just is pointing to the idea that Aaron Pierre is, I guess, a good guy in real life, just as he is in the show, and that certainly doesn't hurt when you're trying to cast somebody to lead your show and you're going to be filming the show for months. So, John, your thoughts on this from Chris Mundy talking about Aaron Pierre as the perfect fit for Jon Stewart?
I watch her. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's very kind words. Obviously, he's not going to be like, yeah, this guy fucking sucks. I hate him. He's a dingbat and he can't act. So fuck this dude. It's like, what? Again, of course, he's going to have a glowing thing. I think, I think obviously he's not going to shit talk him. So,
Yeah. And by the way, Anthony Manzano, yeah, we are thinking about, we have got everybody, your friends, families, anybody who's got friends and families in Jamaica right now. They're getting hit with Hurricane Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, wind speeds of 185 miles per hour. That's insane. You guys are definitely in our thoughts. So
who knows?
Thinking about you, wishing you the best of luck. But John, let's keep on going here. We had another quote from Chris Mundy talking about lanterns. This time he was talking about how everyone on the show did a bit of research on the characters, saying everybody did varying degrees of comic book homework on their own, and we, including the co-creators Lindelof and Tom King, were there to answer any questions, but we aren't telling one specific chapter that's already existed in the comics. Our characters are true to the comics, but we're putting them in a new story, so the actors didn't have to dig into a specific period in the comic books. It was more about understanding who Jon Stewart is and understanding who Hal Jordan is. John,
Yes.
Your thoughts on
I
what
think
he's saying?
in terms of the Tom King name drop, my favorite comment was from this gentleman right here, Ryan Brooks, asking Tom King for answers about characters is like asking a child how a particle accelerator works. I think that nips it in the bud. I think.
Yeah, fair enough. That's an opinion.
Hopefully Chris Mundy and like some of Damon Lindelof can give us something good. Like Damon Lindelof, yeah, he did work on like some good things. Well, things were good at one point, like Leftovers, and Lost was good at one point. So hopefully, and Chris Mundy got Ozark, so that's good. Hopefully,
yeah.
Pray to fucking
that's a good
God
track
that their
record.
Greatness overshadows the guy who is incapable of writing any good DC comics. So,
yeah. Watcher, we haven't gone to the great news about Gunn yet. We will get to that in a little bit. But Anthony Manzano, I don't think we're gonna see Kyle Rayner or a female Green Lantern. At least not in these 8 episodes. If they do multiple seasons to Lanterns, maybe. I just think it's too much to add on top of 3 Lanterns we're guaranteed to see, including Guy Gardner that we know about in this first season. And Acres of Movies, what's your favorite all-time Alfred scene? For me, my best Alfred scene is, there's a lot from the Dark Knight trilogy. There's a couple of scenes in the Batman that I really loved. I like the one where he's I think is it meant to be Rachel that he's taking into the back of the car because she's drugged up, and then he has to drop her off at her home in Gotham, and then he like makes some kind of joke because there's a party going on at the Wayne Manor. But anyway, I just it's Michael Caine's signature humor, and I just love that. Not to mention all the many other things. So
it was the scene where they made out in Batman and Robin. That was pretty good.
I'm sorry, what?
There was like a scene in like Batman and Robin where like George Clooney leaned down to like fucking like make out with Alfred. Not make out, but like he was like started like kissing him, and it was like very weird.
Yeah, I actually had erased that from my memory, but thank you for bringing that back. Yeah, Guy will go through somewhat of a character arc in Lanterns. Hopefully he does, and I'm guessing it ends with him dying. But anyway, I'll hold on to that until the time comes for us to find out for sure. Enterprising saying, I want a Sinestro case adaptation, if not Blackest Night. Well, here's the thing. They just told you here, Chris Mundy and company are not doing one particular story. So they're doing a new story, but the character is going to feel like they're true to the comics. So
I think it'll just
have
be
to
like
see.
random aliens. If I were to take a guess, they're not probably not gonna have someone noteworthy. My guess is Sinestro is not gonna be the main villain. He's gonna like be in flashbacks and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Yeah. My favorite Batman actor, Christian Bale. Easy. But
Kevin Conroy and
there you
Adam
go.
West.
Yeah. All right. That's all the Lanterns news that we've got for now. John, now it's time for the main event of the show. We got to talk about, of course, James Gunn's job, or at least the future of James Gunn's job, because DC Studios will be hanging in the balance, is hanging in the balance, as Paramount and other bidders loom and circle Warner Brothers Discovery, who have officially put themselves up for sale publicly. So the question has been, like, will James Gunn's job be safe? Now, there's a new report that we want to talk about here, where James Gunn's name, I don't think was mentioned specifically, but it was definitely heavily implied that the current heads of the various studios that are part of Warner Brothers Discovery, including Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Studios, so Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdy for Warner Brothers, and Peter Safran and James Gunn for DC Studios. It looks like Paramount plans to keep those executives in charge of their current studios. They'll potentially, David Ellison will keep Warner Brothers intact the way it is after the merger. And in this Bloomberg News report that we're seeing on Reuters, they talk about how David Ellison doesn't see the need to merge Warner Brothers into Paramount and make them all like, one studio. He would like to keep them separate. Like, Paramount is currently, if you look at their logo, it says Paramount, a Skydance Corporation. So maybe Warner Brothers will become a Skydance Corporation or something like that. They did mention, though, like CNN and CBS News might share resources potentially. And there may be other crossovers in other areas, synergies, as they like to call them in the corporate world. But for the most part, the only thing that's going to get merged together really is HBO Max, and Paramount Plus will become one streaming service, which makes sense because you save a lot of money doing that on the overhead of running a streaming service. But the big thing we're here to talk about, John, it looks like James Gunn's job will be safe if you are to believe this report. It wasn't verified by Reuters. They reached out for comment from Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery, but of course, it's all some of it is speculation, but I don't think they got a response, at least not yet, because none of this will be made public until after any transaction happens. But are you surprised that David Ellison would like to keep all of this, basically, that they would like to keep Warner Brothers intact? And then also, one of the things they mention in here is that David Ellison ideally would like to by keeping Warner Brothers intact the way it is today, he would like to really have Warner Brothers produce roughly the same amount of movies they do now. Like they said, like between Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers and DC
said,
Studios,
like, he wants to do like 30 films,
30
annually.
movies. 30 films.
Zoom into this.
That was the big question that we had of like that like a lot of people are worried that there'll be obviously one less buyer to go to for indie productions for movies, but also we go from having 15 movies a year from Warner Brothers and 15 for Paramount, theoretically speaking, to maybe like 20 combined. But if they are going to do 30 movies total still, then John, maybe it is not such a bad idea that Paramount buys Warner Brothers, because I bet you that most other bidders will not want to keep making as many movies after the merger, right? I mean, that's my understanding of this. What do you think?
Enterprising said no more monopolies, no more. That's the only thing I think about. I think, I mean, it's nice to think that like this would probably be the case, that he's probably safe, which is nice, definitely very nice. But I still don't trust David Ellison. I don't trust the Ellison family. I don't trust. He seems like a dickhead. He's in the pockets of you know who. So it just like it's still not great, but yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, you say one wrong thing and you're going the way of Stephen Colbert. So that's essentially the things I think about. It's like, okay, yeah, he'll stay on for like maybe the rest of his contract and then he's out. So it's just like that's kind of the thing I think about. And so it's like, yeah, he'll stay, but like for how long? How long? Is this been going?
I mean, the Watcher making a good point too. We talked about it the other day. Paramount is actually like the smaller streaming service, and Warner Brothers Discovery actually is a bigger company in terms of their overall annual turnover. They make more money. They have higher revenues than Paramount does. So in this situation, I'm not surprised to hear that they want to keep Warner Brothers largely intact, especially because Warner Brothers right now is like one of the best studios going in Hollywood in terms of their recent track record in 2025. So I'm not surprised about that. I'm willing to believe the idea that, you know, David Ellison would want to, because he mentioned this at a recent conference where he talked about, like, if he is going to pursue, without saying Warner Brothers specifically, if they were going to pursue a merger of some kind, that they would want to do it with the mindset of, we want to grow. We don't want to cut down on the number of movies that are being put out. They want to keep putting out the same amount of movies, if not more, than what's out there right now. So that part, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised to hear the 30 number. But thank you, Monique, for that comment. But the fact that James Gunn would get to stay in charge, here's the thing. I believe James Gunn's contract, John, will get renewed by the time any of this comes to fruition, because this contract is coming up not too long from now, and I bet you David Zaslav, much like he did with Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca, he's gonna give Peter Safran and James Gunn an extension, because so far they've only delivered, you know, on their promise, and DC is doing a lot better than they were a few years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear a news coming out in the next 12 months time that James Gunn and Peter Safran just re-up their deals. That would not at all surprise me, and if that happens, then, you know, unless David Ellison wants to make a big payout or buyout for James Gunn and Peter Safran, I think they'll be safe, especially if they keep delivering. So, and yeah, I mean, the Taylor Sheridan situation we have talked about, so that's definitely concerning. But at the same time, they're bringing in the Duffer Brothers. They're definitely, you know, putting their money where their mouth is with a lot of other things. So I think the Taylor Sheridan thing was a big fuck up, and certainly, you know, not only their first, but a really big one. They won't get everything right. Nobody does. But I actually looked at this and I was like, okay, if they're going to keep doing 30 movies a year, then maybe Warner Brothers gets to have some level of, and not anonymity, but what would you call it? Like freedom to do what they're doing now and keep the people in charge in place, which is a good thing, because when Warner Brothers Discovery did their merger, everybody who was in the leadership, senior leadership at the old Warner Brothers under AT&T left, because they all sucked at their job and David Zaslav didn't want anything to do with them. So, but anyway, John, James Gunn did recently almost address the idea of him potentially not being a part of the picture after a potential merger. It was one of those interviews that he did with the fan channels, like Boba Talks YouTube channel.
And again, James Gunn, we're here, buddy. We can help you out. I'm just saying.
But he was asked about the idea of, like, you know, the future of the DCU, future of DC Studios, and he said, he stops himself. So he stopped short of saying, if I stay, which I'd imagine is what he was going to probably say. Then he says, yes, they definitely go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow, the plans for the future of the DCU. So now whether or not that'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise, then he laughs, depends on a lot of things in life. But yeah, so James Gunn is acutely aware that with mergers and acquisitions comes a lot of change, and people sometimes lose their jobs, get get moved out. It's kind of like when a sports team goes through a general manager, fires them, or brings in a new head coach. The head coach brings in his or her own team of coaches. Stuff like this happens in the world of business. So I'm sure James Gunn realizes that if Paramount or anybody else were to buy DC Studios and Warner Brothers Discovery, then there's a chance that he might not be around for much longer. But it looks like he's got plans that go well beyond Man of Tomorrow. And I'm much like George Lucas did. I'm sure James Gunn will be happy to pass off his ideas to whoever takes over. But based on the report that came out today, John, it looks like, at least as of right now, Paramount, who's currently the most likely buyer of Warner Brothers Discovery, they certainly don't have plans to let the executive leadership of DC Studios and Warner Brothers go.
There is the idea of
the
little people getting out of there. So
yep, they're just, I mean, this was a long time coming. We knew about this. It's not a surprise. Paramount said before even, and then certainly after the merger completed with Skydance, that they were going to cut jobs to achieve efficiencies, as they like to call them, in certain parts of the company, and that's finally starting to happen. Paramount just cut roughly 1,000 jobs in the U.S. on Wednesday, with another 1,000 soon to follow. I remember hearing the numbers were not going to be too terribly high. I mean, terribly high. I mean, even a few jobs is too high, because these are real people losing their livelihoods. So it's nothing to celebrate by any means. But 1,000 jobs now, and another 1,000 to come. And it's certainly, I guess the only bright side here is at least it's not Amazon cutting tens of thousands of jobs. But nonetheless, Paramount, doing what they deem necessary to cut costs. They want to achieve a few $1 billion in savings, and this is a part of what they feel like will get them there. But hey, that doesn't mean they won't put another bid in for Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm sure. But John, the big thing today, it looks like James Gunn's job will be safe. It looks like he's not going anywhere, which hey, look, that might change tomorrow. Maybe, like you said, maybe David Ellison is happy to keep him around until James Gunn says something that pisses him off. But yeah, I mean, let's be clear though, the whole Stephen Colbert cancellation and stuff, the evidence is circumstantial at best, in the sense that we don't have a direct connection that David Ellison signed off on the Colbert Show getting canceled and such stuff like that. But yeah, we have seen other, the whole Jimmy Kimmel situation and everything else that's happened in recent months. James Gunn's job is safe for now. How long that stays true, we'll have to see. But I'm happy. I mean, this is good to know. At least we know that as of right now, the plan is to keep the Warner Brothers Chiefs and DC Studios Chiefs around in their roles, which is good, because they're doing their job and they're doing it well. So while if it ain't broken, then why fix it, kind of a thing, right? Anything else to add to that, John? The future of DC Studios?
I don't think so. I think we all pretty much covered it. So there
we go. All right. Oh, put that back up. Put that back up. Put that back up. Damn it. All right.
Okay. Help me. Dum. Anyway.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Okay. Well, guys, we are wrapping up on DCU Daily, but stick around. In a few minutes' time, we will pop back on the channel with Tier List Tuesday. It is Wednesday here on the East Coast, but I'm sure for those of you watching from the West Coast, Tier List Tuesday coming up to wrap up the day. We're going to be ranking all the Freddy Krueger movies. So a Nightmare on Elm Street ranking coming up for you guys. You voted on it. It is Halloween week, so I think it's only timely to do that. John, it's going to be fun. Give us a few minutes. Go top up your drinks. Maybe take a bathroom break.
Go take a piss, take a shit, go get a snack, and whatever you need to do.
We'll see you on the other side on Tier List Tuesday. Until then, John, what are we from the beginning?
#fucking blessed.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer
Fuck Jeff Snyder.